built anything big by saving on all these trivial things. And your dad and I fight about it constantly, but like he's spending money on an office that he doesn't need. Hello, namaste. Zarna Garg here with the Zarna Garg Family Podcast. All five Gargs are in the house, and today's topic is going to upset you. It's going to enrage you. 100% you're going to have very strong opinions on it because we have very strong opinions on it. Why do we overspend? Why can we not stop overspending? How can we stop overspending? Is there even a solution for this? This is the epidemic of our times. Let's get right into it. Let me introduce my family right away. My husband of 26 years, Wall Street veteran Shalab Garg, my daughter who just graduated college, Zoya Garg, my son who's in college, Bridge Garg, and my little one, my middle schooler, Veer Garg. Let's get right into it. Why can we not stop overspending? It feels like no matter how many cuts we make, no matter how many things we give up, our bills just go up and up. Who else agrees with this?
I mean, part
Well,
of it
let's
is
start
that
by
things have just gone up in price. Some of it is just simply that
So
inflation over
it
the
is inflation.
over the last 5 years since COVID. If you compare prices from pre-COVID to today, forgetting about the period of COVID, the 2 years between that, 2018, 19 to 2025, things are probably 40, 50% higher, right, in prices, whether it's real estate or it's food in particular, food literally in particular, but clothes, food, everything, services. Some of it is just simply inflation, but some of it is just, you are not able to control your spending habits.
yeah.
Not you, the person. I'm saying that human beings in general, because of American, advertising and media and like seduction that it comes with wanting more and more and more.
What were you saying, Veer?
I think we should start by establishing what we overspend on the most, which is food.
Food.
To be honest, if we're all being completely honest, we spend 10 times more than the average American family on groceries and eating out. We probably eat out the most out of anybody in this world. Like we actually eat out way too much, and that's just being honest. We had a conversation. Well, I wasn't there, so if one of you guys want to speak on the conversation we had with our accountants, the new accountants.
Well, I just think in general the overspending. What's challenging about our business is we have a family business that includes all of our faces in it, and we do a lot of jobs together. And as a product of that, we also expense a lot of things on our business, right? That is the thing that's how businesses grow. You do things like you eat meals with, people in the industry, or when you're on the road. We were just in like 6 different cities, all of those different cities we were there working. And so I think the general, more personal issue to us is the line between business and personal expense for us is very murky.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, also, we were already spending a lot of money on food before we even started this business. This back to school season, set your child up for success with Mathanasium, the math learning center trusted by over 1 million parents. Mathanasium makes math make sense through personalized instruction that builds skills and confidence. Start today with a free assessment at mathanasium.com. I mean, our family spending a lot of money on food is definitely a thing. It's takeout, it's groceries. Even in the groceries, we buy the most expensive groceries, and then it's eating out, and then everybody having their own preferences. I mean, we certainly do not live the idea that there's one meal and everybody's just going to eat it.
How do you
We
then, if that is, I mean, not to play the devil's advocate, but and touch wood when I say it, our three kids are in spectacular shape, each one of them. So how do you explain? I'm actually, as a 50-year-old, about to turn a 50-year-old this month, feel like in my best shape that I've ever been. So how do you explain if the food is, and by the way, same for you. You, by your own admission, have been doing much, much better when it comes to health, right? How is it that you explain that and then combine it with eating poorly, if that is the case, by eating out all the time? Veer, you to your point as well.
I don't know. I don't know how people do it. I think I think there's truth to the idea that the more you eat at home, the healthier it is. But I don't know who, like, as the mom of the family who works as much as I do, if there's not one central figure who's managing that kitchen constantly, and who's managing the meals, and who's managing the grocery inflow and outflow and actually cooking it and making it, I don't know how it's done. Like I as a working mom don't know how to do it without outside food and all the apps and all of it.
Well, the thing is that when you overspend money to get back time, that is a really different thing than just overspending with no real benefit, clear benefit, right? Like time is money. And so when you overspend and overcorrect to get time back, that's usually a good thing. But it's really hard. I think also because of TikTok and social media culture, especially girls my age, it never feels like I have enough of a spectacular wardrobe. To be honest, that's something that makes me feel, I constantly feel like I don't have whatever's on trend, or I don't have enough accessories. You know, it's very in trend to have like 30 million rings and 10 necklaces and lots of different hair accessories. And it's really a never ending tornado of just cash in these different businesses. And not only that, but time spent in branding a certain, I'm really thinking about jewelry because like jewelry stacks are really in, but like it's really exhausting, honestly. And one way I avoid that is I just try to keep things simple. I think keep it simple overcorrects for the overspending.
I
I
think
don't know why
keep it
Veer's
simple.
shaking his head. Why are you shaking your head, Veer? You like are the one she's
'Cause-
talking about and falling for all the jewelry and chains
Fall it-
and rings.
I have
and
two
journaling.
rings and one chain. 2 rings and 1 chain. By the way, I think that all of this is just based on how you perceive media, because I think that what will never go out of style is keeping it simple. Nobody's ever gonna be like, you have no style for being simple. Like
Hold
this,
on.
all
Are
of
we
these
just like?
trends.
Are you playing? Are you acting? Are you Shah Rukh Khan right now? You literally own like 800 rings and 500 chains.
I
Where,
own
where are
two.
you? No,
one
no,
chain-
no,
no.
You're not,
One
not
chain
own.
and two.
You're
two-
wearing one chain right now, but you own more than one chain.
I
and
don't
you
own more than one
rings.
chain.
Here,
Why are you just
I
lying?
literally lived with you for my entire life. You own more than 2 rings.
I
watched
do not
you,
own.
I watched you buy rings in India while wearing different rings.
Wait, I don't. Okay, I've replaced them. I don't. Those were okay. Those old rings were both $10 rings from New York street fairs.
It has nothing
You're
to
just
do with the
lying on
money.
this
Wait. The
podcast.
money doesn't matter. We're talking about the fashion right now, right?
No, we're
You
no,
buy
no, no,
rings
we're not.
and you have chains.
No, we're
You
not.
have pendants. You have different things. You want to get studs.
Why are you lying?
Do you want to?
You're
Hold on.
lying.
Do you want to get studs or do you not want to get studs? Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
but Veer does like his fashion, but he's also
But we're talking about
very,
overspending, not
no,
about
he's
rings.
also very mindful, is what he's trying to say. It's not like, and he
Is that what
I
you're trying to
think-
say? That you're very mindful, but you do own a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know
No,
why
no,
you're
I'm
speaking
trying
for.
to
Why?
say-
Why are you
I'm
speaking
trying-
for
He
Veer?
likes fashion. I think he likes fashion, but he is mindful. You're making it sound like he's this wasteful kid who's just collecting. If you go into his room, it is the most curated room in this house. There's no junk in his room. He like his.
I mean,
his
you both are
surface-
Bridge. I think Bridge.
Hold on. I'm not
Bridge
making a
is a
point
total-
about mindful
Bridge is a
spending right
minimalist.
now.
Bridge is not into that type of fashion, so I understand that.
Wait.
But it's not like Veer's room. If you go into his
Hold
room,
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm not saying he's not a mindful spender. I think Veer, along with me, are the 2 most mindful spenders in his family. I think that I'm just saying when it comes to the TikTok fashion stuff, Veer like inhabits a lot of those things that we talk about with the TikTok fashion stuff. That's
Okay,
my point, which is irrelevant to the topic. I understand that, but that was what I'm saying because I saw Veer shake his head to what Didi was saying. That was my point. And I don't like when you're talking for Veer. Like, the world isn't going to work where you're going to protect him every time he gets into an argument with somebody.
You were
He should learn to
talking for him
defend
the
it
whole
himself.
last episode. What are you talking about?
I wasn't,
I
because you weren't
expect
letting him
for
talk.
you
That's
to say
different.
this. The whole
was-
previous episode, you stepped in constantly to talk for
I
him.
didn't. I wasn't talking for him. I was talking for myself because you were
God,
doing
can
to
we
him. You
go
do to
back
me.
to point? We're talking about overspending. That is the topic of this podcast.
Okay. Anyways, so we're talking about fashion with money. Can we talk about coffee?
Go ahead.
Oh Lord,
Oh
have
my God,
mercy.
Zoya and her coffee.
Go ahead. No, it's not just Zoya. I buy coffee every day. You buy Shalab. You buy
I get a
coffee
black
every day.
coffee. I get a black
Yeah,
coffee
so
for
what does it matter
$3.20.
what type of coffee
And
you
I
buy?
also make my own coffee. It's not like I always buy coffee outside.
I am the first one to say I have an overspending problem. I do. I have an overspending problem. I am somebody who will buy the matcha with the almond milk that costs more and also will get it on a consistent basis that bleeds my bank account. I am the first one to say that. Now, I don't know how to live my life without these joyful moments in my day.
But I have a question for you, Zoya. Do you also attribute your good health to some of these choices?
Listen, yeah, to a certain extent. To a certain extent. Like I think for example, I also overspend on workout classes. I do. Like I love a hot yoga class. Hot yoga is expensive. Do I always remember? They always get me. All of these workout classes always get me because they all have equipment there. And then if I just rent the extra yoga mat instead of bringing it myself, then I don't have to worry about the yoga mat. Now, I think I'm a generally pretty efficient person, and I would not be this way if I wasn't spending money to be that way. I think like you have to spend big to do big things, but I do wish that I wasn't overspending so much. I do. So
I think
The more and more,
go ahead.
the more and more that I look at the $7 coffee argument that we always have, which is that whether or not it's reasonable to be spending that much money on coffee every day, I think I've started to fall in line with you guys, but not for the same reasons. You guys say that the networking whatever when you're there is great, but I think that if you don't find what makes you happy every day, you're going to be miserable in your life, and that's just something that you're never going to be able to stick consistent to. The same way that Baya says that when you go to the gym, you should never have like a completely set stacked routine, and that you should do your 40 minutes because that's what's able to keep more consistent. If you're not able to find what you really like to do every day in your life, you're not going to live consistently.
how
No,
you
that's
live your
that's
days
an
is how you live
excellent
your
point.
life.
And
Yeah.
that's also an excellent point because that just made me realize that also when it comes to the coffee thing, I'm always the one that pushes back the most. I think I have a lot of fun with it. But I actually do agree with you that things that make you happy in life you should definitely indulge in if it's not like too serious or something. And it makes me think, you're paying for your $7 coffees every morning, right? But I'm also paying for a gym membership right now. So if you like add that up and do the math or whatever, it would actually come down to a very similar amount per day that we're spending because of
No,
that.
no. I mean, I have to be self-aware here. I definitely have an overspending problem. Like for example, I love to spend on really beautiful scrunchies. There is no reason. There is no
You
reason.
can't. What is the
I
point?
just, I'm
What
just,
is-
no, but
what
I'm
is
just,
the point of working so hard if you can't
I'm
wear
just
a
being
freaking
honest.
scrunchie?
Yeah,
I
that
don't,
sounds a little trivial, Zoya.
We've
no, but
got no, but we've got to stop living like this point. Like overspending has become this guilt thing. Like, oh my god, like I could buy a cheaper scrunchie. Nobody built anything big by saving on all these trivial things. And your dad and I fight about it constantly. But like he's spending money on an office that he doesn't need.
Oh my God, that's not really true though. I do
No,
need
I
it.
work out of my house. I work out of the
But
apartment
like,
that we live in.
how is you and me and Veer and Zoya and Bridge all going to work from that
Okay,
same
so
space?
yeah, also to be completely fair,
The
Dad
same
used
way
to
that
use
I
that
work
space
out
to,
of this house, and I run a business with multiple people that need to come and go, but we make it happen in the
Also,
house,
just to
right?
extend off that, why not get in if you're going to have a separate office, why not get it in a location that's really accessible to the rest of us so that we can use it? Because, if
There's
the
a,
office was right next to the house, just so you know, I would obviously work there so much. I'd love to work outside of our house. That would be a perfect place for me to go to work. And I'm sure that Didi or V or Mom, we all feel the same way. So that's
so,
my next question.
So
and
yeah, go ahead.
I
I was,
actually was not aware of that you would, because I thought you were in college. So how will you work? Like, you're not at home most of the time, right? As is
Yeah.
Didi, for most of her last 4 years was on the West Coast. But if that may be the case, I would actually. There was a historical reason to have picked this location, which is that there were two of us, and one of us, and this location was halfway for us both, because he was coming from Brooklyn, I was coming from Upper East Side, and this was equidistant to have picked it at that time. And then
Yeah.
after that, it just became like a. Once he left, it just became like a historical reason to have kept it that way. But now that I know that, I actually will take it into advisement to have it for that
wow.
reason.
Wow. Thank
I
you.
I think one of the things about overspending in general is you have to do a lot of thinking in order to make a lot of really good financial decisions. Like financial decision making in an academic sense is a very full-time job type of thing. And sometimes people make money decisions without doing that analysis that dad just did because it's just the easier thing to do. And companies take advantage of this all the time. That is the thing. That is the thing that makes me upset about overspending, because half the reason we overspend is because somebody is feeding you like subscriptions that you didn't know. How many of us are subscribed to things that we don't even know what we're subscribed to, because we subscribed like 3 months ago and we did the free trial and then it kept extending, and bang, you've just got 10 Netflix subscriptions that you had no idea about. And I think like
The
that.
one thing I will say about that, all of that, Zoya, overspending, is that your mother is right about one thing. In America, there is no way to save your way into life. The only way to really live life, and because part of the reason is to grow your top line. And the reason that is that way is because the social security, the social safety net that exists naturally is non-existent. There is no free healthcare, there's no free education, there's no free childcare, there's no free nothing the way it would exist in many other developed countries. Whether it's, and we lived in a couple of them like Switzerland and Sweden, where the government would help you provide. Your taxes would help the government provide for you. Now, taxes here are not that much lower than many of those countries, but at the same time, the social, welfare state system is non-existent. So hence, you have to always work towards growing your top line as opposed to controlling expenses, because there's no way to win otherwise.
I have a question. If I bestowed upon all of you $1 million in cash and said, you guys have this $1 million in cash, what would be the primary way you would all spend it?
We're going to take a quick break to tell you about our amazing sponsors for today, Mathanasium. It's no secret that the Garg family is a big believer in strong math skills. And the easiest way to get those skills is Mathanasium. Kids to get together, they get personalized instruction, they move at their own pace, they learn how to love math. I did it with my own kids. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Everybody, check out Mathanasium. This is the best investment you can make in your kids' education, in your kids' future, no matter what they choose to do. They want to be entrepreneurs, they want to have a corporate job, or whatever it is. They want to have a gig, because, God knows the kids need. When you have a gig, you need to be able to calculate how much money you are owed. Math will help you. Listeners today can get a free assessment at Mathanasium to start the school year off strong. Go to mathnasium.com and find a center near you to redeem your free assessment. That's mathnasium.com.
I have a question. If I bestowed upon all of you $1 million in cash and said, you guys have this $1 million in cash, what would be the primary way you would all spend it?
Invest. I would take 50% of it, invest in stocks, have it grow over time. The other 50% I would divide into quarters. Then one of the quarters, so 250,000, I would keep aside to help invest in my startup when I eventually create it. And the other $250,000 I then divide again in a savings account. And then the last 50% of the quarter would then be guilt-free spending.
Okay.
Wow, pretty incredible. I would probably do the same.
I would give.
As bridge?
Yeah, I would probably give. I would give 900,000 of it to mom to do whatever she wanted with it, and then the 100,000 I would put for spending on whatever I wanted.
Wow. Why would you give it to mom?
Because
And
I
not
don't
to
know how to
me.
manage money. As there's nobody who knows how to
Why
manage
would you
money.
not give it to me?
Well, I would assume that you guys would mom would
But you
talk to
didn't
you
say I
about
would
it.
give it to my parents. You said I would give it to my mom. I am the hedge fund guy. Why would you not give it to me?
Okay, well,
I'm really, really hurt. You could have said I would give it to my parents, I would even understand. But why mom?
Because mom is building a big business and everybody is seeing it, and all the coffee and non-coffee and scrunchy talk is just nonsense.
All right,
Like,
Mom, what
gotta
would you do
build-
with it? What would you do with that $1 million?
What would I do? Invest it in my business entirely. All of it. All in. Even though every wealth person will tell you that 50 is too late to be aggressive, I would still go full in. All in. There are at least 3 things I want to do in my business that I'm not able to do, including having an office space for myself.
Yeah.
I would love to have it.
That's
but
one
it's
of
not-
our goals.
So that's the thing. By having an office space, you are tying up money on a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year lock. My coffee can be cut off any minute, depending on how the year goes, how the month goes, and all of that. So these are different things you do. But I think all the time and energy spent in trying to save money amounts to nothing at the end. You add up all the coffees, $7 a head each day. I think I did the math. It's like $2,000 or $3,000 for the year. What are you going to save, and what are you going to buy a house with that? You're not even going to buy a shower curtain with that at the
Zoya,
end of the day.
what would you do with that
And
million?
hold on, I want to say one more thing on the topic of spending money on little luxuries and things that make you happy. And this is not helping because the topic is how to stop overspending, so I get it. In the years prior to your generation, in fact even up to our generation, your dad and me, people got up, they got dressed, they went to work, they sat at work all day, and they came home. The workplace gave you the extras. The workplace gave you the coffee. The workplace had the snacks. The workplace had the bottles of water and all the little frills that keep employees happy. Okay? And the only overspending that happened was that at the end of the workday, you went out drinking. That's where people used to traditionally overspend their money. And then on the weekends, they would go out and party. Today, that is not our life anymore. Today's life is much more fluid. The gig economy means you're out and about. To me, every place I go is my workplace. Every person I meet in a coffee line is a potential client and a potential
I
collaborator.
have a question.
That's actually a pretty smart point. Let her finish. Go ahead. Complete
Like,
it.
so the idea that we're overspending is also, in my case, I'm realizing now during this podcast, that am I overspending or am I investing in building my business? I mean, all these people that show up to my club shows, they don't fall out of a sky. They're people I meet waiting for this here, waiting for that there. I make people feel happy everywhere I go. That's how they find out about what I'm doing. Everywhere I go, I tell them, hey, did you consider my son is starting a newsletter? My daughter is doing this. These are what feels like overspending, might even be an aspect of brand building, of community building, of business building. Because I haven't had a 9 to 5 job. That was the time when people control their expenses. You came home at 6 p.m., you made dinner with the three ingredients that were in your fridge, and that was your life. And you worked out with the one stationary bike that you had in your apartment. But
Do
who
we work too hard? Like I've
Yes,
been thinking about this a lot because
yes,
No.
and I wait, I just want to take a second because I read every comment. I read every DM about the podcast. I read every comment on the YouTube, and I'm so grateful. Please keep commenting because we want to improve this podcast. We want this to be fun and valuable and exciting, and we're trying to do something here. And at the same time, I do sometimes think that people get the impression that we just work very, very hard and we care so much about money and what is even going on in our life. Like, are we missing something here? Do we think that, because one thing that we haven't considered is, yes, if you're overspending and you're trying to build your business, that is blah, blah, blah. But there's something to be said about underspending and not having as much pressure, right? Is it good to constantly put so much pressure on ourselves? Like, what do you guys think of that? Like, sometimes I see my other friends and they live lives where, or honestly, you guys get the point. What do you guys think about that?
yeah.
I
I
agree.
definitely think we work too hard. And actually, Veer was the one who pointed it out recently, where he said, we're not having one more meal where we're talking about the podcast
Wait,
or about work.
I want to clarify what I said. I don't think there is a such thing as working too hard. But I think working too hard means that you're not managing your work time correctly. Because I think that for the time that you are working, there's no way that you can work too hard, because however hard you can work is how hard you should be working. I think that during these meals, that's when work and leisure shouldn't be blended together. And that during the meals, then you have your leisure time, and then when you need to work, you get your work done and you work as hard as you can.
I agree.
My only pushback to that is that feels very 9 to 5 mindset to me. Because in a 9 to 5 setting, that's how it is. You work as hard as you can. You stretch your brain out as hard as you can for those 9 to 5 hours. And then outside of those 9 to 5 hours, you leisure. You do whatever you want. You don't have to
But
talk
that's
about
not
the
how I'm
company.
saying it has to be.
But I
I'm
think
not saying...
hold on, can I finish my point?
Okay.
And then in a startup sense, in a startup, when you're creating something, especially at the start, you really don't have the luxury of having those meals without speaking about. I mean, think about it. On our meals, when we're speaking about work, we ended up creating an e-commerce store. We ended up creating a video game that's probably out by the time that you're watching this podcast. We created so many things because we discussed it while being at these meals. And in a 9 to 5 sense, you don't have to do that because your work starts and ends. And well, I think when I say starts and ends at 9 to 5, that's a bit of an exaggeration. You definitely have to do extra work, but you don't have to be creative in the sense that during other meals you have to start strategizing other things. And when you're
I
entrepreneurial and you're
By the
creating your
way,
own startup,
as
you do.
as someone who has always done a 9 to 5 job, which is
Yeah.
me, I do want to point out that companies don't offer all those things for free. You have to pay for it yourself. They make it available to have water bottles and coffee and access to snacks and all of that, but you do have to pay for it. They don't just
I
hand it out all for free.
Really,
I
they don't give you free coffee?
No, no, no. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe some do, but in most cases, you have to pay for it yourself. They
isn't
have a
it
cafeteria.
subsidized?
Maybe they'll be subsidized. They'll all subsidize it. That is true.
Or
But
put it on a plan?
they will have a cafeteria that's available, and you have to go there and then buy it yourself. Um,
Uh, I think one thing I've noticed in marketing that I want to talk about is when I talk about numbers and how much we're spending, like the direct quantity of how much we're spending and how much we're making, people are really interested in that right now. I think there's this new marketing trend I've seen where people just will say, I spent $100,000 and on this merchandise or on this domain or on this developer, and this is what I'm doing. Like, this is something I've noticed, and it works as a marketing sense because people are like, wow, people get really inspired by people who are willing to actually go all the way with something, even if it doesn't work out. And that is just something I'm noticing, and I wonder if you guys are noticing too, because I think the reason why people are inspired by that is because it allows them to feel comfortable and maybe confident doing the same for themselves. So sometimes overspending and telling people what you've overspent on can inspire somebody else to overspend in maybe a way that can benefit them in the future. Does that make sense? Do you guys know what I'm talking
It's
about?
very confusing what you're trying to say.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I have
telling.
no
I
idea.
have. I'm not telling anybody to overspend. I think everybody should spend their money
Maybe
reasonably.
we should redirect this conversation to, let's not debate whether or not we should overspend because that's how it became. What can we do to cut spending without making our lives miserable? How about that? Is there a way to bring it down by 10%? And if so, what would that 10% cut be in your life, in your
I
eyes?
mean, in most cases, the 10% reduction changes life by 25%. Like the question you were asking is how can you cut it down by 10% without changing life dramatically, right?
Yeah.
I see.
And you're saying that's not possible.
I know, I don't want to say that. Maybe it is possible. I don't want to say that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
I'm asking. What is a way to reduce spending without, is there mindless spending? Like, let's not debate on the big picture. Are we building the business and should we have an office and all that? What about the mindless stuff?
I
Like,
think that
how many chapsticks do we all need?
I think that one thing that I find that has been effective is by holding each other accountable. I think have the people around you and you yourself hold everyone accountable. When you call people out for their ridiculous spending and you just make spending an idea that keeps popping up in everyone's head, it then makes other people think while purchasing something, wow, should I purchase this? This person probably wouldn't purchase this. It's not really useful. I think holding each other accountable is the only way to really, because the major thing is just thinking when you're buying something, is this really worth it, right? If you're like, okay, this coffee is really worth it, let me buy it, then there you go, end of story. But if you're like, this chapstick might not be worth it, and you've been held accountable for some other stuff, you might think, you know what, this time I'm not going to get it. I think personally, that is the only, like, not the only. I think that's a strong way to help you at least reduce it by 1%. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think
I mean,
that
we
what
share the same Spotify account. I don't know why we need to have five.
There you go.
I I think that the one thing that we could definitely do is it's not related to spending. Well, it is, but we could definitely do a better job of giving in like just a little bit more effort into keeping our house clean so we don't need as much help. Not for dinners and when people come over, I understand that we need help, but in our everyday life, I think that we definitely could just make little efforts like folding our blankets after we're done using them and putting our dishes in the sink and scraping them could definitely go a long way.
Hmm.
Okay.
I mean,
Understood.
food is such a big item, right? So we could, instead of eating out as much, we can just cut down by 10% on eating out, and instead cook something.
I wonder,
Honestly,
because
yeah.
if eating out is such a big thing in our lives, and I think it is in everybody's life, I wonder if you reverse it and say these 3 meals a week will be home meals. You remember when it used to be we will go out 3 times a week? I wonder if we're living in an age where you reverse it and say these 3 meals, you will be creative with what's in the house and eat whatever's in the house.
Wait,
In that regard, that
I honestly,
guys,
yeah,
I want to talk about this for a second.
yeah,
Like,
me too.
I think eating out, and I just don't want this to become a food episode, but I gotta say it. Like, the math to make your own food doesn't make sense anymore.
It doesn't
Like, it
exactly.
does not make sense anymore because, like, if you're eating a lot of protein, like if you're eating a lot of meat or you're eating a lot of Greek yogurt, like you're eating these things and you are buying it, like the ingredients, and then making the food, like, first of all, I don't even know, there are people my age who don't even own a pan. I swear, they don't even own a pan. They don't even invest in cookware. They're not investing in olive oil. Like, it's literally just the most wild phenomenon. But the reason for that is because it has become, and this is why delivery services have become so valuable over time, is they understand that delivering food is not a luxury anymore. It's an efficiency. It's a way to actually get things done, because in that time the food has been delivered, you've done 10 other things. So I'm not giving up my eating out situation, because I personally think that ordering a Sweetgreen or whatever, instead of making a big, keeping the kale in the fridge and doing this and that, I don't have time. I do not have the time or energy, and I will overspend on the I'm going to overspend on the groceries and the delivery of those groceries. So to me, that's not something I want to come back on.
the
I
one
want to.
example I can give you of what has worked for me in that regard for 3 times a week is the omelette thing, filled with vegetables and so on. And that one thing I really find it very filling, and it's easy to make, and it does the protein aspect as well. But it's one specific thing. But for the most part, I do agree with Zoya that groceries are so expensive that you don't really save that much money.
I want
That won't
to. Yeah.
that won't work when you're on the road though. To be
Yeah.
fair, I don't want to turn this into a corporate versus entrepreneurship argument, but when you're on the road and not doing set time work like you do, Dad, you can't do that because, for example, this summer we were traveling doing these book shows, and I really learned through doing how difficult it is to do things when you don't have any consistency. When you have to live every day differently, it's hard to find one meal that's going to be set 3 times a week.
Understood.
It's impossibly hard. It's
That makes
impossibly
sense.
hard. I think my cure to overspending is I'm going to make more money. That is what I want to do. I'm going to focus on how I can add more value to more people. A lot of people say that it's crass to talk about money. I think that there's no other way to live life than to talk about it. It's the primary way that we can get to improve our lives. It is. And it rules a lot of the relationships that we have. And to not talk about it feels like a disservice. So I am focused on that right now. And, anything that can help me grow the top line is what I want to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, I also am very, very adamant about my food. I think that I'm the most adamant about my food. I will never ever like the way I want to eat is how I'm going to eat. That's nothing's going to change about that. I want to have different things. I drink protein shakes. I need to eat a certain level of protein, but also manage my carbs to be my calories to be lower than they should be. So it's like I'm very particular about what I eat. And I think being at college is the best thing in the world because they give me all the food already prepared and it's so easy. So, I mean, for me, it's a little bit difficult to kind of understand because at college, they just make food for me. So I don't really have to do anything. I just choose whatever I want and they always have something that works for my diet. But I think outside of college, even then, I just can't imagine myself cutting back on food spending. I just can't imagine it. It's just too important to me to eat what I need to eat. It's my entire life. It's my entire health. My muscles change. My routine changes. The way I go to the gym changes. Everything changes. Everything starts and ends with food for me. So for me personally, food is something that'll always be like top priority.
I'm just realizing that we spend so much money on food and none of us drinks.
I do
How do
drink.
No, but
No, I do
like no
drinks.
one goes out drinking. Like, like I don't know how people who go out drinking must live.
I
What
don't
must their
know.
food bills be like?
I think there's a
Maybe
there's
the
a
drinks replace some of the food. I don't know. It's possible
Yeah, it's possible, I
because
guess.
drinks can be very sugary.
Well, also, if you just eat junk food like McDonald's and stuff, it's like spending on food really isn't that much of an issue because it's cheap.
Do we look at our
I
bank
will
accounts every
say,
day? Do people know how much money they're spending a day in this family?
I do every day.
I
You
do.
do every day, Mom? Bridge, you do every day?
Yeah.
I know exactly how much I'm spending every single day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I pretty much know how much I'm spending every day as well.
Yeah. I will say though, guys, like a lot of people really can't afford nicer meals. And when it comes to affording like McDonald's, it's always nice to say let's grow the top line, let's grow the top line. But some people don't even have a bottom line. And when you don't have a bottom line you can't even spend on like going out for
Mom,
a
did
nice
you just
meal.
check your phone?
Yeah, I did.
Are you checked out of this episode?
No, I'm trying to keep track
Wait,
of
I
time.
like what Baya's saying. Can we let him continue?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The point is, and I think I've said this before too. We're family. We keep saying, "Let's grow the top line. Let's grow the top line. Let's grow the top line." But again, a lot of people don't have the money to fall back on to be able to grow the top line while not saving. And I've said that before, and I want to reiterate it because it is true. I personally know families that cannot. They have no other option but to spend on cheap food like McDonald's. Like if they want to buy there is no option, and you can aspire as much as you can to spend on things that make sense. But for the time being, there is no option. The number one reason why people don't have help isn't because they're not habits. They have horrible habits and they just want to eat crap and want to drink whatever, do whatever. It's because they don't have the money to have health.
Can
You
I
need
just
money to have health. Hold on. You need money to go to the gym. You need money to go eat food. And you know what? Something that taught me so much was when I went from private school to public school in the city, and I met kids who literally could not afford a gym membership. Like they actually couldn't. The kids from the age 6th grade were working completely off their own money and their own bank account, and they could not afford gym membership. They could not afford to get nice foods. So as much as I want to tell them, you need to go the top line, it's just not feasible sometimes. It takes
But
more time, and
Bridge,
it's
you're really
understandable.
but you're misinterpreting my words. Like you really are misinterpreting. Because I'm not saying this like that makes me then the villain of like, oh, you don't understand how economic systems work in this country and how many people are suffering and can't make money. I understand. I don't know. I'm not making a comment about that. I'm saying me personally at this point in my life, I'm 22 years old. If I am not taking risk and trying to leverage and build up right now when I don't have the responsibility of kids and a husband, it would be a mistake to not use this very, very unique time in my life in the way that makes sense and invest in me. So I'm not
Okay,
saying all that. Like
I'm not.
like
I'm not. Okay,
no,
okay.
but like because it makes me uncomfortable because I don't want people to see this podcast and think, oh, Zoya is giving advice. You asked me what I am doing, and that is what
I
I
didn't
am
ask
doing.
that, but yeah, sure.
No, that was your original
I
question.
think that was Dad's question, but sure.
Whatever. I don't even like
But
talking
hold
about
on.
this
Okay,
anymore because I
okay,
feel like
okay.
this isn't even fun. Like I feel like we're not having
What?
fun. No, because I don't feel like we're having fun. Mom is checking her phone. I feel like
I
nobody's
was checking for
smiling.
time. We have a show to. What is your issue, Zoya?
I'm just saying that I feel like this isn't like where's the lightness right now? Like I feel like in general right now, like one thing that I'm struggling with is I feel like every conversation we have as a family feels heavy. Every single one. Do you guys feel that way? Like I feel like
But I
feel like
prefer heavy conversations. I don't like talking about fluff. I don't like to say, "Mom, oh my God, Mom, what ice cream did you eat last night? Was it good ice cream?" I like asking her, "Mom, what is our money looking like? How can we develop the top line?" I personally, as a human being, do not care about what ice cream she ate last night. I just don't, respectfully, and that's something that I like. Why am I getting criminalized for not wanting to talk about light
I'm
stuff?
Both of
I
you are feeling criminalized. She's feeling demonized because she likes to spend money on the things she likes. You are feeling money is a complicated. Do you see now why money breaks up
can I tell a
marriages and
story?
families?
I want to tell a story. I learned something recently that really changed my life. So we went to India, and this is a very commonly known lore in India. The most famous movie star in the world, Amitabh Bachchan, he had been making movies for years and years and years. He was a star. And in growing his stardom, he decided he was going to invest all this money into his own production company. He spent it all on building this production company. And the production company was unable to justify the spending it was having. And he was about to go bankrupt. He was days away from going bankrupt. And he did something that changed everything. And he decided he was going to go all in on doing a game show. He had this opportunity to be a game show host. Now everybody
On TV in India.
TV
Yeah.
in India. Everybody advised him to not do this because he was basically Tom Cruise. And to go from Tom Cruise to then hosting a game show, it's like so detrimental to your brand. If you become a game show host, you can never do a big picture movie anymore because you just have lost all your aura, basically. That is what's happening. And he said, I don't care. I have to do this because I'm about to go bankrupt. There's nothing I can do. This game show has now been running for about 50 years or something, right? He's been doing
20
it
years.
20, not 50,
whatever.
but long time. You're right
A
about
very
the
long.
basic
It's a
point.
syndicated show. He is now like known even just for his game show abilities and how he was able to connect with people in that way. And he completely changed everything. He flipped the script. And I think that that is the way to think about life sometimes. Is sometimes it's important to not let money rule your life and instead focus on how can I keep flipping the script and adding values. And you have to roll the dice sometimes. And I think that story about how money changed his own life and his own career changed how I think about things. Okay, I'm done.
It is a very inspiring story. It is his comeback story has been quoted many times in the press, and many people have talked about how the single act of putting aside his movie star ego gave him a whole new lease on life, because he started communicating with people one on one. Game show hosts do a lot of impromptu talking, and revealed a whole new aspect of his personality and stardom. But to bridge his point that it can't always be about growing the top line and that the bottom line is important, there's no question. Listen, there is no question that there's a whole spectrum of existence. There is a spectrum where literally how to pay rent every week is a crisis. And then there's the upper echelon that we don't even want to need to touch or go there. Our podcast topics are most commonly about middle class families like us, who are kind of somewhere in the middle, who are working and have ambitions but are falling short of their ambitions but don't want to give up on them, are trying to figure out how to make all these pieces make sense. So there is truth all across the board. But the one thing that you guys should all understand is that we picked this topic. Our listeners and viewers don't know. We picked this topic, how not to overspend, thinking it's a light topic. Thinking, let's do something light. And look at how tempers started flaring, because money is more loaded than even sex. People will even talk about whether they have sex or not, if it's good or not, but no one likes to talk about money. It is very taboo, it is very secretive, it is a very heated topic, and we saw it in real time. And I think this is a good place to round this topic up and go straight into good grades with Gargs, which is a round of one each Garg giving another Garg an A grade for the winning moment of the episode, for the most enlightening, entertaining moment of the episode. So who wants to start first?
I can go first. I want to give my A grade to Mom. I thought your initial monologue in the beginning of this episode about like the different perks and about corporate life and personal life and whatever, and how they are given a lot of different perks, and you have to give yourself the same perks to compete on different levels. I think that was a really, really good strong point, and I'd never ever even like consider that point. So that was a good
I'm
one.
giving my A grade to Bridge because I thought that his pushback of Dad's office location choice was something that I didn't know was something he thought about as a means of leverage for himself, which I think gives a whole new layer and texture to how we should think about money and how we can better use the things we invest in as a family.
I'm gonna give it to Baya too, because I thought that his point on some kids not having the bottom line was something that has been brought to light now that is important.
I'm going to give mine to Zarna as well. I think that the point she made about how jobs used to be in a structured 9 to 5 way versus how life has changed due to tech and other reasons, where people who even are not entrepreneurs are finding themselves sort of hustling all over the place a lot more. I think it was a very strong point. It's true.
Well, I got two A grades today. This I don't think has ever happened before.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I think the A grade today, I I want to give it for a very strange reason. I'm going to give this A grade to Zoya because I think her discomfort towards the end shines a light on how uncomfortable this topic is. She, I can see, got nervous that she's now going to get hated on by the whole world because she likes her coffee and she likes her scrunchie and she likes. I mean, this kid works harder than anybody I know. And still, you have to defend your choices in life. Like, it's all fun and games to say, don't care about what other people think, but we do care. We are social animals. That's why we are human beings. So I think the A grade goes to Zoya for me today because I think despite her discomfort, she pushed through and she talked about the things and actually stayed true to herself. Because the easier thing to do would be to say, "You're right, I should have less coffee outside," and then just do whatever she wants. But having this counter opinion is a tough one to have, especially as a woman, and for that she deserves the A grade. I think this episode got very heated unexpectedly. We would love to hear what you guys are doing. If you have strategies that you thought of while watching our episode, please share them with us. Tell us what you're doing to discipline your families on food matters. On we didn't even get into transportation and all these other things, but we want to hear. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe because we're trying to bring more people into our universe, and we can't wait to hear. We read every comment, we hear every feedback that we get. We're so grateful for every rating that you give us. It helps. And thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Zarna Garg's Family Podcast. Until we meet again, everybody say bye.
Bye.
Bye.